mic. I think it's better. Okay. What a great start to the video. Anyways, I thought I will pop in front of the camera. I am in fantastic mood and I'm so thankful you've been there for me when I felt a little bit down and have been like, you know, had these mixed emotions and mixed feelings. I am so thankful for each and every one of you who left such supportive messages and reached out to me, shared their own experiences, and yeah, I think you know what I mean. So I thought, since you've been there for me when I haven't been feeling that great or that inspired as an artist, I also want to be here for you to inspire you back that whatever we go through, I find that God has a very quirky sense of humor. The way he deals with things, the caveats he throws onto your path are very interesting. Every time when there is a low and you kind of dip low and you feel that it's just dragging on, it's not really, you're not moving on from it, and you're trying to relax and you're trying to do meditation and you try to do gardening, yet the essence is still remaining, like there's something that is on your mind and something that has triggered you or has upset you or whatever way. Basically, you're not feeling great. I find it fascinating that comes a time, there will be like a day when you will wake up and you will have that realization there, like the answer. You just need to be hopeful and wait for that day. And of course, meanwhile, don't just, you know, hope for it, but be also proactive. Do all these things like cooking, gardening, whatever helps you to unwind. Of course, art, as we are an art watercolor channel here. But at the same time, sometimes what I'm trying to say is it's absolutely fine and okay to accept the fact that you are feeling awful, you are not happy with something is going on in your life that you are not coping well with, or you've been triggered by something. And it is absolutely fine to give yourself that time to heal, to process, to go over things, and don't rush yourself. If it takes you a week, if it takes you 2 weeks, a month, I think for me, it's been now actually just over a month. Just a few days ago, I started to feel back to normal and kind of refreshed and inspired and just feeling good. You know, when you feel good with yourself, that cozy feeling inside yourself. So yeah, it's absolutely fine. And what I wanted to give you back through all that support that you have given me is that when we are in those, let's call them dark moments, they're not really that dark. I mean, nothing that terrible has happened, but it has impacted me quite a bit. And also we need to keep in mind that whatever is big for me might be quite small for someone else, or whatever is quite big for someone else might be quite small for me, because we are triggered in different ways, because of what we experienced in our childhoods and in our lives as adults. All those kind of traumas, they don't need to be necessarily, you know, like horrendously bad. They can be still traumatic even if they are seemingly okay-ish. So it really depends who you are and what you've gone through. And I think the acceptance of that is very important. Undermining someone's situation is not very helpful, it's not very kind. So I think accepting that and then trying to move on is a very, like, a big key. So where I'm going with this is, you know, at your kind of most difficult times, like something happens, whatever it is, and then you find it difficult to move on from because there's something that makes you keep on thinking about that situation, and you keep on going back, and you think one day, I think I'm done with it, I'm over it, I'm good, you know, I've done my healing, I'm done being hurt. But at the same time, it's not necessarily that easy to just move on. And then on the way, you might still find out that there are still situations that are kind of bringing you back to that place and you're not fully healed yet. What has been for me quite important to realize, again, I think I realize this every time I go through something like that, is that at those moments that you think are the worst moments for you, during that time, like in the middle point of that time, it's hard to imagine that you will feel better one day. You feel like nothing will change, and you feel that you are stuck in a situation, and you feel that, you know, it'd be good to have this or that to resolve the issue, but I can't do it because so and so. So this is a very typical situation that I have personally experienced myself, that sensation of being or feeling like you're stuck in a situation and you are controllers, like you don't have the control to change the situation. And as they say always, if you can't change the situation, try to change your perception of the situation. So it's much easier said than done, so that is a given. But the point is, once you're over that, and like I said, it could take a week, it could take months, it could take longer than that. Once you're over and you look back and you think, you know, there is that light at the end of the tunnel, but during that time, you totally couldn't see it. And I think this is exactly why those terrible situations happen, because people don't see the light at the end of the tunnel. But I won't be going too deep into that. But all I just wanted to say, you know, how I feel, and I think it's kind of important because it does impact me as an artist. It does impact my work. Although having said that, it also sometimes has good impact. So I kind of want to get out of that situation or that mind space, and I start creating. Sometimes I completely cannot create like anything, just there is like nothing I can give. I feel like my pot is completely empty. And sometimes I feel that I want to do something. I want to challenge myself, and I want to try a new technique, or, you know, just to move on from what I'm experiencing. So I hope it kind of inspires you hearing that I've been there and I am here now. So these things, they do take time, but eventually when they have gone, you feel like the weight is lifted off your shoulders, and it's like, it's life. Life wouldn't be the same without those sometimes painful experiences, you know? And I'm not talking about, like I said, anything too kind of dramatic here, but everyone has their own dramas to deal with. So that's what I wanted to say. Second of all, I had my hair cut. So I'm turning 40 next week, just under a week now. And yeah, it's like a big number for me, not because it's 40, but because when I think of myself at 30 and now 40, it's like two different people. The life experience I had in those 10 years, the things I have achieved, the wisdom I have gained, it really is like two different people. And I feel so good at 40. And if you would ask me about, you know, how I feel about being 40 or imagining being 40 when I was 20, I would think that 40 is quite an old age. But no, if anything, I actually feel younger at 40 than I was like at 35. I think at 35, I had a bit of a kind of like a dip where I felt everything was just mumsy, you know, like mumsy stuff and nappies and, you know, and weaning and all of that lovely stuff, which of course is great. It's a great life experience. I wouldn't want to not have it, but at the same time, I found it a little bit challenging at one point when it was just everything about that. I felt like there was a huge vacuum, kind of trying to fill that space with something else. This was before I started my business, and I felt like I lost myself a little bit, and I think a lot of mothers go through that. I lost myself, my character, my personality, my sense of humor, my style even. The way I was dressing when Mason was like a couple of years old, and it was everything about comfort and speed. Like, you know, time was so limited. So I stopped wearing makeup. I stopped going to hairdressers because I couldn't have any like hair appointments or like being away from my baby. So yeah, it was interesting time. And I think now turning 40, I'm thinking again back to that time, although how lovely it was to have, a baby that's small and like toddler age and all the excitement of the first steps and everything is just so precious, all those memories. But I myself, as who I am, was kind of like half erased. And at that point, I thought, maybe that's it. Maybe I'll never be the same. Maybe that's a change of life. And that's who you become and that's who you stay. But I'm so glad to tell you that I feel like I am a better version of what I was at 30. So at 30, I was quite happy in my life. This is before marriage, before having children, before serious commitments, just about me, myself, and I. And I really enjoy that time. Sometimes I kind of think about it, but now it's like all of that plus all of the other things that have added to it. And it's just such a joy to have that perfect balance of things. And it's not easy. It's not easy to balance, but I think if you become quite sort of organized and you structure your life in a certain way, you can still be yourself and still be mother and wife and all the other things. So I hope that's kind of helping some of you if you're going through a similar thing I went through 5 years ago. So let's shift the gears and talk a little bit about coffee. So I know a lot of people love coffee, and myself, in my almost 40 years, I had probably a handful of coffees that were just delicious, just amazing coffees where you just have every sip of it and you think, my goodness, this is a good coffee. I'm very, very particular with my flavors, with the food, with drinks, I just like them a certain way. And for me, coffee is not just a coffee. So mostly when you'd go to like Starbucks or Costa for a takeaway coffee, this is where I'd go for takeaway coffee. I kind of felt they're very generic flavors and they're very kind of like, sometimes you get really bitter coffee from there. And then I discovered I could add some coconut milk into my single shot lattes at Costa, and that was kind of nice because that softened it made it a bit more kind of creamier but also a little bit sweeter. So it's not like sugary sweet, but sweet in the sense of it's not bitter. So I really enjoyed that at one point, but generally it just wouldn't be quite good. I mean, I would ask for a single shot and that would be okay, but generally speaking, it would be quite strong of a flavor and I'd never finish the coffee. And I'd think, well, it's just the coffee, like it tastes like coffee, but am I loving it? Absolutely not. I now started researching about coffee and I've learned quite a bit. So when my mom was here, I gifted her a nice kind of so we have Hot Numbers. Hot Numbers is like a really lovely place where you can eat out. They have like pizza ovens and generally the food is really delicious and quite sort of healthy and has loads of flavor. But their coffee, they're renowned for their coffee beans, and there is a roastery, right? Anyway, I have a trouble pronouncing it. So they basically roast the coffee beans there, and they have sacks and sacks stack up from like all different Colombia and all different countries of coffee. And they also have the beans then packaged in smaller kind of packages, and then it says there where it's from and also taste notes that it comes with. So it's quite interesting. And so I gifted my mom one. She loves coffee, but the way she would drink coffee is not quite for me. So basically she would take ground coffee beans and then put it into one of those Turkish, when you make Turkish coffee with the little like open thing and you hold it or you have it on the stove and you bring it to the boil, and then basically you drink the coffee. But what was really off-putting to me, not only the very, very strong smell and flavor of it, but also it's like literally obnoxious. but also the grains kind of still in the coffee cup as you're drinking them, they settle, but still, I mean, that concept was really throwing me off my guard. So I've never tried that, but I totally understand some people love it really, really strong. So, you know, it's really dependent on how you like it. I like the coffee to have a strong flavor in the sense of to be flavorful and delicious without that kind of bitter aftertaste at the back of your throat. So I realized there is such an amazing thing as mocha pot, and I'll try to insert images if I have them here. And I ordered it. It arrived, and I went to get this morning dropped Mason off at the school, and straight after I went to get the right grind of the coffee beans. And the reason I say the right is because you can't have espresso grind because it's too fine. It's the finest I think you can get, and that doesn't work with the mocha pot. So you need to go one up, which would be like a stove pot or like a stove pot blend. You tell them, and then they will know. Ask your coffee grinder, and they will get it just right for you. That has been a life changer. I made the coffee, and I was just, you know, like suddenly realize life has changed forever. It just opened up like the most amazing taste buds. I mean, this is just like a 24-pound coffee pot. I think it was, I know it was invented by an Italian guy, and the pot has been patented, and yeah, so that's what you want if you want good coffee. I'd highly recommend it if you haven't tried. Ooh, I mean, yeah, you will need decent coffee though, so that is a big part of it as well. Are you interested in things like food? I don't know, but I did create malosольные огурцы, which is like a light pickle of cucumbers, the most delicious thing you can have during summer. So basically it's like a pickle, but it doesn't go to the full pickle. It's like a light pickle. So it only takes a few days. The cucumbers are in the middle of being fresh and pickled. It is delicious out of fridge on a hot day, and I love it. I really love it. So I just made them today, and for it you need like fresh horseradish leaf, which I had in my kitchen garden. I just planted them, bought them in a garden shop when my mom was here. And then yeah, you need like fresh dill, fresh bay leaf, fresh garlic, peppercorns, fresh parsley, and then you make a mix of a liter of hot boiled water with 2 tablespoons. I put kosher salt in there, but I think, you know, you can go with like rock salt, it's usually recommended, or kosher salt. Both of them do well for pickles. And then you just stuff it all. So the cucumbers, I use small cucumbers. You can chop them in half, like just diagonally cut, or you can remove the bottoms and just use them whole and just stick them in a big jar. Put out all the herbs and things at the bottom, mix the salt with the hot boiled water, and then pour it over the top. Basically make sure you have something little on the top of the cucumbers or the pickles so that they're not exposed underneath the water. I mean, above the water. They need to be submerged underneath the water. So it could be like a little dish you have, or you can buy those weights, glass weights. Just make sure it's not porous, and that's it. You leave it then for like 3 nights, and then they should be ready, and then you pop them in the fridge and eat them. I'm really excited about those. The other thing, I was trying to make a list, but then I just got so excited to share everything that I wanted to share that I just gave up on point 2. So the other thing I wanted to mention is, what else? Oh yes, so yesterday, I didn't have time to edit or film anything, so there was no video, but I will pop this video, what's today, Tuesday? Either today or tomorrow for Wednesday, because I did promise you Monday, potentially Wednesday, and a Friday. So Fridays are our watercolor Fridays. So I hope you've been enjoying them, and I really enjoyed creating those. Oh, hold on a second. Did I start talking about my hair or not? I think I completely went off the route. So yeah, I did. Yes, I did get my hair cut, and I love it. It's like a fresh feeling. And once in a while, I do get it cut. because the ends become so dry after all those highlights. And something really funny happened. So I don't know if you remember me mentioning, I've been going to the same hair stylist, and I was just glad that my hair was intact and I managed to like grow it up to here. And it wasn't in a super healthy state, but I just was happy it was grown. Before that, I couldn't grow it any longer than this length. It would just be so thin and breaking off at the ends. So that was quite an achievement to me. But did I love her work? No, it wasn't that great. Yeah, I just find it all kind of ridiculous, you know, here in UK, getting highlights done for a full head, it comes close to £200, and do not expect it to be fantastic. I don't know. I mean, back like 10 years ago, when I had my stylist in Hampstead, he was amazing. I never needed to explain anything. From the first day I sat in that chair, he knew exactly what tone, what color to go for. I came out and I looked amazing. It worked with my skin tone, with my complexion, with my, you know, eyes, eye color, anything. Made me look great. Even without makeup, I looked great. When they get your hair tone wrong, you know, when you're not wearing makeup, you just look tired all the time. It really, the right tone and a fantastic stylist makes such a big difference. So what happened, she abruptly left, and I was really upset about it because I thought, oh my gosh, it took me years to find her since we moved to Cambridge. In London, it was a different thing. But since we moved to Cambridge, or Cambridgeshire, it took me ages to find someone who I can grow my hair out with. But the problem with her was she would do the highlights in such a way that there were these kind of like lines, and they were everywhere. Not like too obvious, but if you take a hair strand and you look at it and you pay attention when it's completely straight, it was, you know, obvious enough. And every time I tried to tell her that, can you please just somehow layer the colors so it's not giving me those lines, she would say that if I do that, then the hair would just snap off and break off at that point. So I was thinking, I don't understand this. In London, when I had my stylist and I was seeing him for a good 4 or 5 years, I never had these issues. I had beautiful coloring and highlights and right tone, and it was amazing. So back then I was paying what I'm paid to her now, so the prices must have gone up or something, I don't know. But the point is, at that price, I didn't get the perfect treatment that I wanted. So she then left very abruptly, and I was given a substitute, a lady who didn't speak much English at all. So the point was, they did give me like a huge discount, but of course I was worried about my hair, and my understanding was that all the details would be on the system, so at least she could just look it up and do it exactly how it's been done by my previous stylist. Keeping in mind she hardly spoke any English, it was very difficult to understand her, and I really did not understand her. Yeah, it was like I was really worried, and in the end, like, there's a lot of hair that broke off here, like you can see, right at the top here, after I saw her. So this was in the first week of April, and we're now kind of like, yeah, 2 months later. So it kind of really that exactly where she's done it has snapped off. So straight after I saw her, I knew I'm not going to go back to that salon ever again, and I did complain to them, but I kind of left it at a light complaint. I was so fired up, and this was the time when I was like complaining about everything, because just everything was driving me nuts. Like the laziness and just the attitude from people that you do pay a lot of money to, and you expect them to give you a good service, or you have been going to that salon for so many years, you expect them to treat you a certain way with a certain respect, and then just all of that was just driving me nuts. But I thought, you know, I'll say my say and I will leave it at that. I was going to call the management. I just thought, you know, I just don't want to deal with it. So I went and I found a new stylist, and I went into this hair salon that I walked through. It's in Cambridge. I walked past it many times. And there was this one lady, and as she started talking to me, from her accent, I could gather that she was Russian speaking. So I asked her if she was Russian, and at first she was kind of, a little bit sort of set off guard, and she said, "No, I'm Ukrainian." And I was like, "Oh, wow, I'm Ukrainian." So we started talking, and we spoke in Russian. I don't speak a word in Ukrainian, so it was quite good. And I had no idea, but she's so experienced. She's done a thing called air touch, which is the first time I'm hearing of it. I was just really thinking, what is going on here? Like, I don't know this technique. And anyways, I didn't need to explain to her warm tone, cold tone, middle tone, anything. She just done everything. I explained how I liked my hair to look. I showed her one picture, and boom. I was amazed because I have been looking for a stylist like this ever since I moved from London. And I thought I should just give up on this idea in general. And she's super experienced. She has flown to like all over the world to take top classes, and I was just amazed, and how come someone from my like birth country in Cambridge, and it's just like all of those coincidences, just it was such a nice thing. And that's another part of feeling good, is sometimes you might feel like everything is going wrong. At that time, April was a really tough month for me, end of March, and then like pretty much most of April was pretty tough. Everything, every single thing was just going wrong, and then eventually things started to change around, and it feels good. Like, you think, I've been going to see my previous stylist for years and years, and I wasn't happy with my hair, but I just couldn't find anything else. And then suddenly she leaves, and I was quite upset about it. But then something happened that was much better, like just, so much better. And the correction she's done on the hair, she basically took out all of those steps, she cleaned it all up, and it just looks so good. I mean, I love it. It looks like much healthier hair, and we still have a while to go. I think eventually I'll be just kind of probably getting rid of this much hair, but just like letting it grow out a bit step by step. I won't just go short all of a sudden. I really like this length, and it's good for the summer. Things to keep in mind: air touch, a complete revelation to me. And the other thing with air touch, it looks so natural that when your hair actually grows out, you can go longer between the full sessions. So you can do 4 months in comparison to the 2 months that I've done before, which means your hair gets less damaged, and it's actually better for growing stronger and healthier hair. So yeah, I mean, ask your hairdresser. I don't know, maybe in America it's a thing, and everyone does it. Here in UK, some things seem to be a little bit behind. Yeah, I'm just really happy with it. So the final thing I wanted to talk to you about is the recent course I have made, and I thought maybe I'll just show a couple of pages from the course. And I haven't told you what the course is going to be, and I haven't launched it yet. I just finished a commission which was for a big brand, and I can't share too much because I signed a non-disclosure contract. But basically I was creating an illustration to go on the packaging of a new product that will be released, and it was so interesting and so kind of fascinating. I really learned a lot from that first commission that I've done for like a big company, and the going back and forth, the Teams meetings, the briefs, how to approach it, what kind of ideas you can give. I think one day I might do a more focused video on that without giving you too much detail, but just to walk you through what it takes. And then, it just feels amazing. And to think that your illustration will be on the packaging of a new product is like mind-blowing. But anyway, super exciting. The point is, I finished that, and just before I started on the commission, I was working on my online course, which I finished filming, and now I can go back to editing it. So it's basically about working with watercolor, and then at the end adding some doodles and have a lot of fun. So last year we went to Croatia, and if you remember, I got so inspired by the pebbles on the beach, because the beach we stayed on had white pebbles and completely transparent turquoise waters. It was stunning, just absolutely stunning to see your toes and the little fish swimming in the water, just beautiful. So what I did was I based the course around that, so we'll create a final piece of art which you can frame, and I am looking currently for it so I can show you. So remember these ones here. So that is what the course is based on. So basically it's working purely with watercolor. I'm not going to use any other paints, keeping it strictly watercolor. And then there will be these doodles that we will use acrylic markers and fine liners and things like that. And it's really not about a lot of art supplies. You don't need that many, and chances are you already probably have quite a bit that you can use, and so you won't need to like go and purchase more. So this is the piece that we have done, and to be honest with you, I keep on rotating it and I can't decide which side or which way I like it best, this way or that way. So it will be fun, and then in the end you'll be left with a painting that you can frame and gift or display it in your own home. Okay, to finish off, I will just touch briefly on some books. I have been sent a few books for a review by lovely publishers. So this book has been sent to me a while ago, and it's by Hazel Sohn, and it's one of her new books, or it's her latest book in fact, and it's called Learn to Paint Wildlife Quickly, and I am going to be doing a review for that book soon. Then this book, fresh from the publisher, arrived, and I'm going to also share this. I think you'll really like this. So it's a cut up this book and create your own wonderland. Basically, it's for those of you who love to create visual art with collage and that sort of a concept. The book is stunning. It is absolutely stunning, and I will show you a few pages. So it's got a great vintage look to it. I'm just trying to find. It's got animals and just really beautiful. Like here are some reptiles. Some images quite big. You can see you can create large canvases with it. Amazing quality of prints, and then also if you don't like that sort of light satin gloss, you can of course use matte mediums on top. And I have some videos on my channel about collages. Collage art is actually something I absolutely adore. I made my mom like a canvas picture. It wasn't big, it was like a square, probably this big, and so it was a thick canvas, like on a frame, stretched canvas, and I created a picture for her 50th, and I love it. Like I really love it. So I might create something for my 40th. So beautiful colors, really beautiful. So I'll show you, I'll do a flip through, I'll do a review soon for that book as well. And then I treated myself to a couple of books as well. So here is the mushroom botanical art. I have been very interested in medicinal mushrooms and learned a great deal. And also I love just the beauty of mushrooms. I mean, they're stunning things. They really are. So these are illustrations by Toshimitsu Fukiharu. Sorry if I mispronounce, so I'll just show it to you in a close-up so you can read it. Like so. And these are beautiful. It doesn't give you any information if these are edible or poisonous or whatever, you know, medicinal property they have. It's just a collection of mushrooms, And it's on this sort of off-white paper, so it kind of looks vintage as well. I really like that style. So that's that. And then I treated myself to a book for my upcoming birthday. It's called The Sensual Garden. Look at that. It's beautiful. Exploring the World of Botanical Fragrance, and it's by Caran. So this is a book that looks into botanicals, into flowers and the garden plants that have blossoms with fragrance and scent. And it basically goes through all sorts of different plants. And what I like is the photography, how things are arranged. So for example, they arrange the plant in a beautiful way. They kind of stylize it. And then they also talk about different things. So here you can see it's just a different presentation of flowers and botanicals, really, really beautiful. And then you get into kind of smaller pictures as well that just goes through musky scents as well. So you got the moss and the mushrooms. There's loads to read and learn. But if you just like a book to be an eye candy and learn things, and use it as a visual guide, then you can totally do that as well. But I will use it both ways. I will use it to take inspiration to paint botanicals, but also to actually add some more plants in my garden that are scented. I love scented flowers. So like jasmine, I've got this Tuscanian jasmine. That's a climber. So I planted it next to a window, and it's recommended to plant next to a window or a door where if you open it, you're just going to get that beautiful scent. And also a couple other plants, you can just pop them in your garden. Some of them release this most gorgeous scent during evening. Some of them are beautiful when the sun hits them. It's just so interesting. So I'm getting a dry throat because I've been talking so much. I didn't expect it to be long. I hope you enjoy this bubbly and super informative vlog. Let me know what you think about various subjects that we touched on today. It really helps the channel with the algorithm when people comment or click the likes. Somehow it pushes it towards the more interesting and the better quality videos into that sort of sector, and then YouTube picks it up and rotates it even better. So let's try and grow this channel. I haven't given up. Actually, I feel more inspired than ever. Let's not jinx it. But I have a few ideas what to do next. So stay tuned, and I will see you on Friday with the curated watercolor palette for botanical art. So thank you for watching, and I'll see you soon.